Hello viewers, hope you're doing well. Today in this video, I'm going to create an API to get the task by ID. So let's get started. You can see here the admin service. I'm going to create a method that is a get task by ID. In the argument, it will receive an ID that is a type of a long, and the return type of this method that is a task DTO. Let's go to admin service impl, and in this class, I'm going to implement the method that is a get task by ID. Inside this method, I'm going to write here the logic to fetch the task by ID from the DB. So let me get here the object of the optional task. So it will be a optional, and the entity that is a task, that is a optional task. Let me call here the task repository, and the query that is a find by ID. Inside the argument, I'm going to pass here the ID that we are getting in the argument. After this, I'm going to return here optional task dot map. In the argument of the map, I'm going to call here the task entity, and the method from the task entity that is a get task DTO. In case if the optional task not present, then I'm going to return here the null in the else block. So it will be a or else. Let me set here the null. Let's go to admin controller, and here I'm going to create a method to call the method from the admin service. So it will be a public response entity. Return type of this method that is a task DTO. Name of the method that is a get task by ID. Let me get the ID from the URL. So I'm going to use here the annotation that is a @path variable, data type of the variable that is a long, and the variable name that is a ID. Inside this, I'm going to call a method from the admin service that is a get task by ID. And inside the argument, I'm going to pass here the ID. Let me pass in the argument of the response entity. So it will be a response entity dot OK. And inside this, I'm going to pass this method that is a admin service dot get task by ID, and it will be a return. On the top, I'm going to add here the notation that is a @get mapping to access this endpoint. So the URL is /task/ID. Let me wrap the variable name in the curly braces because we need to get the actual value of the ID from the URL. Let's run the Spring Boot application. As you can see, application started. Let's go to MySQL Workbench. As you can see here, the created task in the task table with the ID 1. Let's go to Postman, and I'm going to call the get task by ID endpoint. You can see here the URL that is a /API/admin/task/ID. So I'm going to add here the ID that is a 1, mapping that is a get. Let's go to the browser, and here I'm going to log in the admin. Let me get the token from the local storage. Let's go to Postman, and in the authorization tab, I'm going to add here the token of the logged in admin. Let's click on the send button. As you can see, the status we got 200 OK, and we are getting the task. Let's call this endpoint in Angular. You can see here the admin service. Let me duplicate this method. Name of the method that is a get task by ID. In the argument, it will receive an ID that is a type of a number. Mapping, it will be a get. The URL will be same, that is a /API/admin/task/ID. You can see here the admin modules in the components. I'm going to open here the integrated terminal, and here I'm going to write the command to create the new component that is a update task. So it will be a ng, g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is a update-task. Let's hit enter. As you can see, the update component created successfully. Let me register the update task component in the admin routing module.ts. Let me duplicate this line. So I'm going to add here the path for this component that is a task/id/edit, and we have to load here the update task component. Let's go to update task component.ts. Let me add here the constructor. In this, I'm going to inject here the admin service. After this, I'm going to create a method where we will call the method from the admin service. So it will be a get task by ID. Before calling the method, I'm going to get the ID from the URL. So let me inject here the activated route. So it will be a private route from the activated route. Let me create here the variable that is the ID, that is a type of a number. Let me call here the activated route instance that is a distort route dot snapshot dot params. Let me pass here the variable that we have created in the admin routing module.ts, that is a ID. Now we are getting the ID from the URL. Let me call here the instance of the admin service, that is a service, and the method that is a get task by ID. In the argument, I'm going to pass here the ID that we are getting from the URL. So it will be a subscribe, and I'm going to save the response into this variable that is a res. Let me print the result in the console. So it will be a console.log, and we have to print here the res. Let me add here the distort ID. We have to invoke this method. So let me call this method in the constructor that is a distort get task by ID. Let's go to the browser, and here I'm going to add the path for the update task component, that is a /admin/task/1/edit. Let's hit enter. As you can see, we are getting here the task in the console. Let's go to the network tab. As you can see here the response of the API. Let's go to the headers tab, and you can see here the status code, that is a 200. Okay. So that's all for now from my side. If you have any confusion, you can do comment. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.